yeux, the windows to the soul. Oculi, los ojos, dream shutters. Nun, 眼睛, eyes. This is the organ that provides us and other animals with vision, the ability to process visual detail, as well as enables several photoresponse functions that are independent of vision. Eyes detect light and convert it to electrochemical impulses in neurons, but eyes come in multitudes of colors. So what determines each person's eye color?
In organisms, the enzyme tyrosinase regulates the production of proteins that code for skin, eye, and hair color. Human tyrosinase is a membrane-bound glycoprotein that regulates the MITF gene segment. The MITF gene segment, or the melanogenesis-associated transcription factor, contains up to 16 genes that code for the production of melanin, type and quantity, in the eyes, skin, and hair. There are two types of melanin, yellow melanin and brown melanin. Brown eyes are caused by an abundance of brown melanin in the eyes, and blue eyes are caused by very minimal or lack of melanin. Blue eyes appear so because of the Rayleigh scattering effect, the same phenomenon that causes the sky to appear blue. What causes different eye colors, and why do light-skinned people tend to have lighter eye colors?
Well, the answer is that both individual family genetics and whole population adaptation plays a role in this roulette. So, one gene pool is mainly comprised of individuals with similar characteristics. The derived tyrosine allele RS2733832 is associated with lighter eyes and lighter skin. And since the genes that code for melanin affect both eye and skin color, it makes sense that, for example, a lack of brown melanin in the skin would correspond with a lack of brown melanin in the eyes. This results in a fairly isolated community retaining similar characteristics. On a population level, eyes have adapted to the amount of UV light exposure. It's kind of like how football players have dark streaks drawn on their cheeks to reduce glare. Darker eyes see better in areas with more UV light than lighter eyes because brown melanin serves to shield the eyes and skin from UV rays. People in areas with more exposure to UV, like regions along the equator and in deserts, should naturally be adapted to prevent skin cancer and eye damage due to the exposure. But people in areas with less exposure to UV do not need as much brown melanin for this genetic resistance, so would lose it over time.
So now we know how eye color is determined, its causes, and its correlation with skin color. But did you know that only about 2% of the world's population has green eyes? What has allowed green eyes to remain in the human population, and why is it less prevalent than the other eye colors? Simply put, green eyes are caused by a lack of or a very small amount of brown melanin compared with a higher quantity of yellow melanin. The yellow melanin in the iris and the Rayleigh scattering effect that causes eyes to appear blue combine to make green eyes. Hazel eyes are caused by pre-existing circumstances for green eyes and, in addition, a slight amount of brown melanin. Green eyes are determined by the OCA2 gene. In early human history, the gene was affected by the mutation of a neighboring gene which inhibited it, therefore limiting the amount of brown melanin produced in the iris, leading to lighter eye colors. But it did not limit the amount of yellow melanin produced, which was passed on regularly. It is just that the gene was not widespread, as it is recessive. So, green eyes are rare because the complete lack of brown melanin in the iris is already uncommon, and the gene necessary for proportionally high amounts of yellow melanin is also rare.
Green eyes are rare, and hazel and blue eyes are very few compared to the numerous amount of people with brown eyes. But why does it seem that darker eyes are coded as dominant over lighter eyes? Eye color is less of an issue of dominance of brown eyes over blue eyes and more of an issue of the dominance of brown melanin produced in the eyes. If even a small amount of brown melanin is produced, the eye will appear more brown because there was originally very little pigment. So a parent with dark brown eyes will likely have children with brown eyes, though depending on the color of the other parent, the eyes of the children may be slightly lighter. And since having brown melanin is dominant over not having brown melanin, phenotypes that result from not having the brown melanin, like blue eyes, might be seen as recessive on their own. Because the coding of yellow melanin and brown melanin are separate from each other, it is not an issue of the dominance of brown eyes over hazel or green eyes either, and more of an issue of the recessiveness of yellow melanin produced in the eyes in combination with the production of brown melanin. So one may have high amounts of both yellow and brown melanin resulting in honey-colored eyes, or as we discussed earlier, high amounts of yellow melanin and slight amounts of brown melanin will result in hazel eyes, or high amounts of yellow melanin and no brown melanin results in green eyes. But the gene for having yellow melanin is recessive, so phenotypes resulting from high amounts of yellow melanin, like green eyes, might be seen as recessive on their own.
Now, we know about all the different individual eye colors, but what about people with mismatched eye colors, such as Dominic Sherwood, Olivia Wilde, David Bowie, Mila Kunis, and even Alexander the Great? Why aren't genes for eyes with different or multiple colors adopted as dominant? This is because heterochromia iridum is not an inherited trait. Although it is common, it is not dominant as it is a mutation that occurs on an individual level. But why can't our eyes adapt to our environment?
Eyes do not typically adapt in one individual because that would require that a person's gene expression be able to change in a short period of time. But in early childhood, many people born with lighter eyes experience a significant darkening of the irises as the genes that code for production of melanin begin to properly express. In old age, as pigment in the irises degrades, this can cause the eyes to lighten or lose brown melanin, but only slightly, so unless by a mutation or by a medical condition, there is not much substantial change in one person's eye color past adolescence.
Thank you for watching this episode of Eleanor and Ivy Just Might Know What They're Talking About.
Click like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on We're Trying. Please give us a name.